every time I'm like, let me open the comments. All right, I'm just gonna wait. Usually I see them all come in at once, and that's how I know you guys can see me. Yep, check out my beacons. Sorry, I just thought of something I need to tell my moderator, but it's not even related to this, so I'll tell him after. Just waiting till I see some comments because that's the only way I know that this is live before I make any announcements. Not that I have a bunch of, there we go. We got drizzle dripping in here. Perfect. I'm glad I got drizzle dripping over to my OF too. Perfect. All right. So, ooh, we got a 3L. It says 3 Law 22. So I don't know if you're a 3L or you graduated in 2022. I know you were not born in 2022. But anyways, it's Monday Fun Day. Most of you know what that is. But if it's your first time here, we are live here for an hour and a half until 8 p.m. Pacific. And this lighting is like so odd. Sorry. I am getting a really cool podcasty space getting made for me. So those of you that were here now are the real ones, because once I level up, I'm going to remember these usernames. But anyways, yeah, so we're going to be live here for an hour and a half, and then we're going to go have the fun live. If you know, you know, but basically we go live on my OnlyFans page after, so you can go to jasminejafar.me, and you'll find my OnlyFans link there, and, you know, we're live on OnlyFans, so it's a very different kind of live than this live. I know a lot of you like to do both, but some of you may not know about the option, and some of you, and actually today's topic is kind of going to be going into that. So the topic, I think I said to make the title why you should pay for porn, but it's kind of a discussion because I know some of you do, some of you don't, some of the reasons I think it's beneficial, maybe some reasons that people don't. And I don't even want to limit it to porn. I kind of extend it to like online content, because I will admit, like even me, you know, I like to watch some YouTubers or listen to some podcasts. And whenever they have like the option for a Patreon or anything else, it's like something about paying for content online makes us feel like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. Or, oh, I don't need to do that. Or it's like this idea of paying. And it doesn't matter how much it is a lot of the time. Like people just, it's the idea of paying that makes people feel like, oh, it like gets at their identity almost. It's really interesting. And again, this is not me. I've felt this way too. Now, being a content creator, obviously my opinion has changed a little bit. Not that I had a strong opinion on it before. I think if I was to think about it logically and actually think about it, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But, you know, a lot of us, we're not the most logical creatures. Let's see. Thank you. Okay, let me read the comments a little bit. Do you surprise for us? No surprise for you here. Sorry, I always read everything in an accent because my parents are foreign, and anytime somebody says something like just like a little incoherent, I think of like my parents in their foreign accent saying like, sorry. You support the content provider, they can keep doing what they do. Yeah, that's a big part of it, especially when it comes to content that I want to support. Channels I want to support, with messages I want to support, politics I want to support. It totally makes sense. What you do pay for is a reflection of who you are. And, you know, I do think it makes us feel good. It makes me feel good when I actually support the content that I want to support. And again, these are not crazy prices. Nobody's charging $50 a month for their Patreon, at least what I've heard. Even OnlyFans. I know they can range, like mine's like $7. Some people it's cheaper. If you actually subscribe for a few months, it's cheaper. It's like $3 it comes out to, I think, if you do longer subscriptions. But it's just very interesting because, again, this idea, and I mean, who remembers the music? Like now I think a lot of us are on Spotify or Apple Music, etc. But back in the day, torrent, I don't know if this is going to make me sound old. I'm 28. BearShare. Anybody remember BearShare? Okay, I used to sit there on BearShare and download music. But back then I feel like it was egregious. It was like you had to buy each song for like $1, and like it would be like thousands of dollars. That's no longer the case. But I want to talk about some reasons that paying for porn is good for you, and actually some studies a study in particular that has been done on the positive impact of that OnlyFans subscribers have found in their sex lives, and they seem to be more educated on sex. LimeWire. I never used to. I always use BearShare. I knew of LimeWire though. Maybe I had downloaded it. Yours is worth it. Thank you. LimeWire. Okay, LimeWire seems to be the. I've never heard of Napster. 3Law 22. You're talking too much. I don't actually think you're a 3L student. If you are a 3L student, I'm very concerned. Don't know what law school accepted you. Y'all know you got the Paris Hilton sex tape off Napster. LimeWire and FrostWire. Never heard of BearShare. Okay, maybe I was the only one who used BearShare. LiveWire gave my PC AIDS. And that's another thing. A lot of these free porn sites, I don't watch a lot of it, but even when you're trying to find a movie or something, especially nowadays, like a lot of movies you can rent on even YouTube for like $3.99. And I'm like, why do some people like just search the internet, open up like 80 viruses, you open one link, you have like 80 tabs that open up to like God knows what, because you don't want to pay $3.99 to see a movie. And it's a little different in that sense because, again, big corporations are a little different than independent content creators. But at the end of the day, it's stealing. Stealing is stealing. And morally, it's the same, but we don't see it that way when it comes to the digital world. It's almost like it's a digital world. We're entitled to it. I shouldn't have to pay anything that I see on my screen. And people go through great lengths, almost like it's counterintuitive. Like the time that you spent online searching for this for free or going on these random websites that God knows what kind of viruses they gave you because you don't want to pay a little bit for something is weird. And people take like pride in not paying for it too. People literally are like, I always make this point, like there's people who are like, I don't pay for OnlyFans content, and they just have to announce it. It's almost like they're proving to themselves that they're not the kind of person to pay for this content because it's just this narrative created by, you know, the incels, the sexually repressed, in my opinion, individuals who are like, well, at least I'm not paying for that because I'm going to choose to believe that makes me this or that makes me that, right? You don't do that with everything else. I don't type or just announce to the world that I don't buy sneakers or I don't buy flats or I don't buy boots or I don't buy sushi. I don't like sushi. But there's something about, I think, porn specifically where people, I don't pay for porn. And actually, porn, I think, is one of those things you absolutely should be paying for a multitude of reasons. I like paying for custom-made porn by specific porn stars, OnlyFans or stuff I order, but just regular porn me for everyone, like on Pornhub. No, I won't pay. Yeah, no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with consuming regular content, and that is one of the reasons a lot of people choose to pay for porn, because you get that more personalized experience. You are able to get customized content from a specific content creator, and it's really interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, well, why is OnlyFans such a fucking booming business when people can get it for free? Well, exactly. There's a reason for it. And the reason is not that, you know, these men are just, oh, no, these are, like I've said before, a lot of, at least my fans, are in the higher ranks of education, just pleasant people. Just, I love, like, a lot of you guys in here. And it's the people who announce how much they have a disdain for paying for it. Those are the people that I can't even read their messages because they're just no punctuation, just completely incoherent. I had a guy today, a guy messaged me today being like, I don't believe you're a lawyer because I was looking at a Reddit thread and somebody on Reddit said that you are probably just serving coffee at a law firm. And also, like, your Business Insider article, like, didn't post your degree. So how do I was like, that is the caliber of people who just don't want to pay for porn. I do think the culture is moving towards people paying subscriptions for stuff to avoid ads and for enhanced security. Yeah, I do think that. And I have heard that even these free porn sites are moving towards more like subscription-based. Subscription-based, makes sense to a lot of people. I mean, our movies are pretty much, our TV is pretty much all subscription based. And it makes sense. You're paying like, and again, these subscriptions are usually not really expensive. Unless you're in Andrew Tate's Hustlers University, you're not going to be paying 50. I mean, he says he'll make you $50,000, but you're not paying $50 a month. A lot of times you're paying I know those Netflix prices be rising, but that's because we're all using someone else's account, I feel like, for Netflix in particular. But it's between 10 to $20, not sometimes even less. Like a lot of OnlyFans is less than that. I feel like using leak size is like using WebMD. You think you're saving money, but you're surprised by what viruses you get at the end of the day. Also, the time that people like, because there's been times where I literally like have looked for, and the movie's not on anywhere. And I'm like, let me try. And I am like, I cannot find this. You click after link after link after link. And it's like, the people who do this must just have time. Like they must just be unemployed, just have nothing. Like I don't get it. Let me see if I missed anything. Imagine someone stealing your work, not paying you for your work. Yeah, and that's the other thing, the moral aspect of it, especially when it comes to smaller content creators, which most of us are, especially in the porn industry, but even other like content, music, smaller artists. I'm not talking about Taylor Swift here, but at the end of the day, even you pay for somebody's art, you pay for somebody's content. That is what the right thing to do is. Oh God, my cousin's baby is FaceTiming me, and kids are not going to FaceTime me once, so just ignore that. She's gonna FaceTime me for about 10 minutes. That being said, I use a different card, not my regular bank card. I'm not putting that. Yeah, I think that's fair. People don't want it on their statements. That's a different issue about privacy. But well, now I can't access my notes. I'm just going to read these comments for a little bit. It is the personal connection, and I was looking at what are some reasons people do pay for porn or talk about paying for porn, and a lot of it is that you do get that personal connection and a personalized experience too. Okay, so said the McDonald's manager. Are you talking about the other? Are you really a lawyer? Yes, I'm really a lawyer, guys. I think I would be found out by now if I wasn't. It's funny because other lawyers message me all the time and they're just like, oh yeah, you're a lawyer. It's like literally people who like blue collar, or just people who have this idea of being a lawyer. Oh my God, how could you possibly be a lawyer and do this? So you must not be really a lawyer. Like it's really not that cool, guys. Okay, I want a devil's advocate person. No, I don't mind you playing devil's advocate. So John X Polson says, hi, Jasmine. I hope you won't mind me playing devil's advocate. I won't, even if we pay for it. Most of the workers are signed to management and get exploited, right? Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say most. And especially with things like OnlyFans, there are a lot of independent creators, but even the ones that don't, a lot of times, like, let me tell you, a lot of these contracts are like not enforceable. So while these girls do get threatened and they get scared, a lot of girls on OnlyFans are making their money if they are people that are making their money. Now, it's not easy to make money on OnlyFans. I think it's what I read. I think in 2021, only 300 creators made more than $1 million that year. It's like 75% of the money is concentrated in the top percentages. So it's not like everyone on OnlyFans is making a lot of money. But at the same time, these are creators. This is their business. And you are making sure, at least if you're paying for money on OnlyFans, that it is going straight to the creator. And it's consensual and it's legal. If you're just watching things on Pornhub, I've said this before, you guys do have no idea what you could be watching. There have been rape. There's rape on there. There's underage people on there. There's revenge porn on there. Even big creators like Mia Khalifa have spoken out about how like, hey, I don't, Pornhub owns her content. She doesn't even want it there anymore. And she feels, she was taken advantage of really young. They paid her $12,000 and they make billions of dollars off of her. Yes, she makes $10,000 a day now on OnlyFans from what I've heard. And she doesn't even choose to post nude. But when you choose to consume content, and it's always the people that are like, I wouldn't pay for porn, like as like a moral high ground. And it's like, really? Well, where do you watch porn? How do you want to be watching that? Consented to being there? How do you know they're even 18 years old? Again, they're really not plagued by a lot of these concerns, it seems. So my moderator says there's actually a Pornhub documentary on Netflix. This is a good job of explaining how sketchy their business is. I've heard of that. I heard of that from a couple of people. I haven't watched it yet. but I might watch it and do a stream talking about it because, you know, and a lot of people, I mean, if you go and listen to the opposition to sex work, people who oppose sex work, they focus so much on either like, you know, people that are working literally the streets that usually have a drug problem or something, or they're talking about the exploitation that happens in the porn industry. You don't hear a lot of them talking about how terrible OnlyFans is, except unless they're trying to make some moral claim about, oh my God, it's grasped our baristas and our lawyers or whatever. They're, you know, a lot of us are like, yeah, no, we like it. And that's because we do feel like we're getting treated fairly. OnlyFans takes 20%. We keep 80%. Our content is ours. We are able to, we own it, right? We can choose to take it off. We actually have rights. And I'm actually dealing with this now, where if people leak it, you know, you can subpoena the platform, get their information, and take legal action, and a bunch of stuff that you're able to do that you aren't able to do when you hand over your rights to a place like Pornhub. So you know when you're on OnlyFans that the person that posted the content posted it themselves. So probably want it to be there. They are definitely over 18, and you know that they're getting the money that you spend. You have to pay for about 10 to 20,000 plus expenses. I heard it was 12. Even if it was 120 grand, she should be getting more than that. But I've heard multiple sources saying it was 12. Okay, let's see. Ooh, we have a lot of comments. Be honest, how many people use their actual bank debit cards? Though no one wants that on their bank statement. I use a separate card. It doesn't even pop up on your bank. It doesn't pop up on I obviously get paid from them. It doesn't pop up as OnlyFans ever. So you must not use it, or you must not know. It comes up as Phoenix Internet LLC. I don't know who you have like monitoring your bank statements. Like, I assume you're not 13 years old. I used to live off my parents till literally 2 years ago because I was a student until then. And even my parents weren't like going through my bank statements like that. I don't know if you're married or what the problem is, but how do your parents feel? My parents are fine. And I don't live for my parents, but we're very close. I literally cry almost every day because I love my parents. Honestly, though, people pay for less fulfilling, short-lived enjoyment. Why not for content creators? At least you can go back to that and enjoy it again. It's less expensive than trying to relive expensive, maybe once or twice a year kind of expenditures. Yeah, and I will say people who pay for porn, from what we know, I looked it up in some studies, and also I'm going to talk about one study in particular, they're satisfied. They don't, you know what I mean? They continue to pay for a reason. You know, it's not usually one and done thing. Now, I know that maybe you may subscribe to a girl's page and you're like, oh, this isn't worth it. I'll cancel my subscription. This girl's page is worth it. I'll keep her. Just want a quick plug that most of my fans do have their rebills on because my page is wild. But again, well, for example, when I looked for one OF creators videos, I've been receiving a lot of pop-ups a lot, and then I just got off of it and do something else. Yeah, and also if you're looking for that stuff, like if you're looking for basically revenge porn, I have questions about your moral character. Like, I would feel like a loser doing that personally. Either watch free stuff, I think that's fine, or pay for content. You know, like, you sound like the guy who's like, well, I was looking at a Reddit thread that said that you're not really a lawyer and you just serve coffee. And I'm like, that sounds credible. What a good use of your time. What if someone brings up your videos in the court? I think you mean what if? And I don't do litigation. And how would they I don't think you know how court works. Like, no one can just raise their hand in court and be like, here are her videos. In fact, I have a lot of I have multiple law school friends that clerk for judges, and one of them the other day is like, I literally asked my judge, like, hypo, your exact situation, and the judge is like, yeah, that's fine. There's actually a judge that did get fired for being on OnlyFans. I don't know if you guys, I think it was a New York judge. He was cute too. It's a male. And that's different. You can obviously be dismissed from your position, but you're not going as a judge. Judges are held to kind of a different ethical standard than lawyers are. For those of you that are lawyers, you know, we always are take ethics, and there's that one section for judges and their rules versus our rules. But yeah, it's really like the people that are like, oh my God, lawyers and judges having OnlyFans. Like, it reminds me of kids in class who used to like yell penis and think it was funny. Like, be an adult. Yes, Hazard Stint is here. I'm sorry you have a headache and choppy connection. If y'all don't know, Hazard Stint is actually a really good friend of mine. So I'm always happy he's here. I do think that's a problem with any industry, that some management companies are unethical and creators. Yeah, I mean, this happens in the music industry too, with labels. I mean, if you can avoid working, and I know I'm not a musician, I'm not, a rapper. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but we do hear these kind of issues kind of occurring in all of entertainment. But I do think OnlyFans is actually one of the better industries, and OnlyFans does have protections in place, making sure that even like your bank account has to match you. Like you can't have it go into just like, your random management bank account. So they do make it truly a platform for creators, and the vast majority of them are just everyday creators. A lot of us hear about the top of the top of the top, or the celebrities, or even somebody like me. I am pretty successful on this platform, and we're anomalies even. And I am this successful. I mean, I'm not like, I'm not Bad Baby, or however you say her name, is making $42 million a year. Absolutely not. Unless you guys want to go subscribe and give me that. But I don't work with any kind of agency or management, and I'm very, very, very interactive with my fans. I know you guys on that platform. I know you guys on this platform. All right. The only thing I don't, the hoopla guy. Let's see. The only thing I don't like, sorry, I'm behind on comments. I'm going to try to catch up. The only thing I don't like about OnlyFans is that it's normalizing prostitution and a legal loophole nightmare. It's basically getting pimped out by a website. A lot of people that have mass exposure, I could imagine it's hard to have a normal life in the real world where people are organized. Wasn't that a personal choice if somebody wants to, like, are you saying that I don't think that you should, I think that it's bad for you to have exposure, so you shouldn't have it? And normalizing prostitution, what's wrong with prostitution? You should listen to my stream we did, was it 2 weeks ago, on sex work legalization and decriminalization, and try to give a good argument about how prostitution, people making the free decisions about their body, why that bothers you and why it shouldn't be normalized. The porn companies are bullshit thieves. OnlyFans puts power back to porn. So I'm sure you'll do it. Okay. Does anyone else feel extremely uncomfortable when even content creators say they're teen, but they mean 18 or 19? Like, no, I don't want the FBI. Yeah, that does make me uncomfortable. If you've been on my OnlyFans, you probably don't know this actually, unless you ask me for one of these things. I will not do any kind of age play, which requires me to pretend I'm underage. I also don't do race play. Those are two, I'm not a kink shamer, but those two, I just think when the kink itself harms a group of people, I don't partake in it. That doesn't mean, though, I actually want to do a stream on kink and kink shaming and where kinks come from, which I actually don't know. I want to do research, but there's even websites and support. Like there's a site called Virtuous Pedophiles, which sounds crazy, but maybe this is going to be a controversial opinion. It's people who have the urge, have the desire, have the kink, but don't want to act on it. So it's like a little support group I don't know if it's still up. I saw this like years ago, and I think those things can be great because you can't control having the desire. At least I don't think like that's fair of us to say but you can control your actions and you can control your behavior. And when we stigmatize even the desire and make them feel like they're already guilty, they're already freaks, I don't think that helps. But that's a conversation for a different day. I was on Pornhub. You tell me this every time, bro. You tell me this every time. He's like, I saw you on your. Yes, I post my own shit onto Reddit, and I actually have a Pornhub myself now. So you're not, discovering anything. There's the movie called Hot Girls Wanted. It's crazy how much these girls have to do. I did see that. I didn't watch it, but I've seen that cover before. Paying for my porn changed how I use it. I'm not scrolling through sketchy vids on sketchy sites. I can choose an OF creator who actually runs their page and pay them directly. Much preferable for me. It makes the content more enjoyable to me. That is what the consensus is. And there's an article, I actually think I've heard it a few times. This article has been shared to me a few times. And I think one of the times was actually by Hazard Stint, but it is a study that was done So people who use OnlyFans tend to get smarter about sex. So it's a study that was done on a survey. I think the sample size was 400 something. Actually, let me get through these comments and then we'll get into it. OnlyFans is great for huge porn stars putting power to the people and away from poor companies. At the same time, the lesser known porn stars is just massive exposure, fame that you might not want. Basically, be careful what you wish for. Yeah, there are risks to putting yourself out on the internet, no matter who you are. There are risks to putting yourself out on the internet and being very politically active. I mean, people that are politically active on either the left or the right are constantly faced with death threats, anti-Semitism, whatever. That is part of doing this. So I agree with that. But to say that therefore they shouldn't have the right to do it and that it's normalizing it, I mean, what are you saying? But playing devil's advocate again, piracy allows in those who can't pay access to a lot. In many other countries, doing the legal thing is more punishable than pirating it. Details. People love free and it acts as a great promotion. Jazz has read it. Who can't pay to access, and many. Well, that's the thing. If you can't pay to access it, you shouldn't access it. You don't get to steal something because you can't pay for it. I didn't make it make sense. And let me tell you something. I am a Middle Eastern girl, and I have a big Middle Eastern fan base. And in a lot of these countries, this shit is banned. They all get around it, and they find a way to subscribe to my OnlyFans, VPNs, whatever they need to do. If they want to, they can. No, it's just embarrassing when you call the bank and they see that shit when they go through your transactions. Well, why? If you must have, a lot of people aren't embarrassed, actually. And you shouldn't be embarrassed. What are you embarrassed about? That you consume porn? Like everybody else is in the world? Are you embarrassed about having a sex drive? And it doesn't come up as OnlyFans. It comes up as Phoenix LLC. And I promise you, the people at the bank do not care. They're not sitting there like, ooh, what is this? Let me Google everything on your transaction. I think you just have an issue with you. Mia lied and said she got 12K to get sympathy from her audience. That's not even how you spell audience. I don't know if you're right. Your OnlyFans is fire. Thank you, Tango Churro 13. That's also a great username. I should not pay for form. It is a principle. So there we go. People who have this principle, why? The principle is sketchy to me. King of the Hunt responds to, sorry, I know I'm so behind and you guys are probably, shut the fuck up. We're already past this, but it's my show. All right, I see your point, but let's consider this. You would pay for most any other service where people need the money to make a living or continue providing service to others. If you wouldn't rob your doctor for healthcare, why would you rob someone that has the opportunity to be able to afford healthcare? It's hard to say, but if you can't afford it, OF content, maybe live with it. That's my point. That's my point. And today we're not talking about stealing content. Like I think we all are pretty sure that that's kind of a slimy thing to do. But even we're talking about, it's not like anyone's saying never consume anything free again, but this idea that paying for not even just your, like I said, like supporting whether you like a political podcast or you like and people that are like, I have a Substack or a Patreon, like we should normalize, again, paying for the content and the people you want to support in this society. What's your take on teachers for getting fired for having OnlyFans? Would you help them for wrongful termination? I do not specialize in that, so I don't know. Me and my friends from law school were having a debate the other day about getting fired. So you can get fired for no cause, or you can get fired for good cause, but you can't get fired for bad cause. And so the question is, one of my friends was saying that it's gender discrimination. Again, this is very kind of depends on the context, depends on a number of other things. It wouldn't necessarily be wrongful termination, but a lot of that has to do with the way, they got fired and how much they want to make an uproar about it. Okay. Yeah, unless you're on the stand, your work history is unadmissible in court. But yeah, that's interesting to ask, to say the least. Yeah, you guys, the evidence is one of the most heavily tested subjects on the bar for a reason. Evidence is like, we have a lot of rules. Civil procedure and evidence are the two classes where we are inundated with rules on what is admissible, what's not admissible. If I was to be in court, my random side activity, side hustle in my spare time is not admissible evidence for me, for my client or whatever, you know. It would have to be a very, very, very interesting case for that to somehow be admissible. It would have to somehow it would have to be something that would compromise the case in order to be admissible at that point. In case that's unclear, let's say in regards to tax something, that's when her being on the stand and mentioning her work history would be relevant. Well, yeah, if I'm first of all, again, if I'm in the setting as your advocate, as your attorney, then it's very unlikely that would be relevant. Now, if I'm, I guess in this case, I'm the defendant, then maybe, yeah. Again, I did get a message today asking me if I'm a real lawyer, why my degree was not posted online. So you have to understand that people on the internet, especially the ones that don't pay for porn, I'm going to say, especially the men that don't pay for porn, are they're kind of lacking in some regards. Okay, yeah, it's really a matter of me. Say I call the bank about something. Okay. I get it. You're embarrassed of the bank. So you're not going to pretend to be 80 years old. Fuck, well, chapter. For me, it's a lesser known porn stars that want to get massive exposure. I can imagine it's like careful what you wish for. Sure, it's a choice and prostitution is legal in other countries, but that it does cause problems if you live in the U.S., especially if you can meet up to. Yeah, it shouldn't. I agree. The problem is the laws. It's not the people doing it, and it's not. Again, you seem like somebody who maybe has a lot better things to think about than how maybe somebody who wants a lot of exposure shouldn't want it. Again, like let people kind of, you know, make their own decisions. And it seems like you should be an advocate for legalizing and decriminalizing sex work. Jasmine, I'm not questioning you on your choices. I'm just surprised that you enjoy doing what you want. You're surprised I enjoy doing what I want? What a, like, I feel like that's not, I would never be surprised that anybody enjoys doing what they want. Like, I feel like that's very unsurprising. I might spend less on OF than I spend in a week of relationship. Yeah, that's another thing. I've said this before. Paying for OF is much cheaper because I'll tell you, there are men that I've gone on dates with, multiple dates with, that have dropped fucking like bags of money on these extravagant, and they haven't seen a titty. Like, and that's the vast majority actually. And I'm like, $6.99 my OnlyFans. All right. Yes. Okay, guys, I think I'm like 7 minutes behind. Oh no, 5. Okay, let me try this. Yes, if you're able to pay for it, of course you can. Pirating is not always robbing too. As creators on OF are separate from their like doctors. Piracy is kind of like sharing. Oh, one person paid for it and shared it for others to enjoy. Just arguing that. Okay, so you're saying that if one person buys it and they share it with everybody else, then that is okay. All right. The lady was too stunned to speak. I think, okay, Hazard Stamp beat me to it. Hazard Stamp, yeah, I think that most everyone enjoys doing what they want. Yeah, maybe you're surprised that I have the balls to just do what I want and enjoy it, because sometimes people don't. My moderator says bro has that Robin Hood mindset. I was gonna say, I don't even know. Robin Hood would steal from the rich and give to the poor. By his metric, kind of, you could steal from one person that is just trying to make a living and just share it with. There's a reason that's against the law. Like, that's against the law for a reason. It, you know, our policymakers clearly weren't sitting there like, you know what though? If one person bought it and then spread it, that's fine. No, it's a crime, especially when it comes to explicit content. It's actually a far more severe crime. You guys should look up the 2022 Violence Against Women Act, Reauthorization Act, I think is what it's called, where now you can file a federal lawsuit if somebody posts or distributes your explicit content without you wanting to. Yeah, it's legal. It's not like one person can buy a DVD. You can't just buy a DVD in your house and then come to your house and make copies and give it out to everybody. Back when DVDs were a thing. Okay. direct support of creators is a huge benefit. I support a few podcasts I like via Patreon because I want to avoid ads. Yeah, and again, this might be just my personality, but if I can pay a few bucks to not just have a better experience, like YouTube, I consume a lot of YouTube. I'm old. I don't do TikTok as much. I don't want to see that, and that's one reason I do it. And I don't think a huge percentage of that goes to the creators, but I watch if like, you know, when ads pop up on different platforms that I don't have a subscription for, I'll also watch through the ad. Could you elaborate? Okay, I gotta catch up. Could you elaborate how they are different from their service compared to doctors? Let's consider it is illegal to share prescribed medication. Why? Because that is specific from the doctor for you. The doctor is paid as a result of prescribing your medication. It's in a sense taking money from them because these could be patients of theirs and they could receive the full benefit of the healthcare, and the transactional issue will go from there. Well, there are also other reasons you shouldn't share prescriptions. And nobody here is a fan of big pharma, and I think prescription prices are insane. But yeah, you especially, I would say that you're receiving a product. Like if you can't share like my services, right? Like if I do a one-on-one kind of service with you, that's more personal, or let's say people who do in-person escorting services, that's not what they're sharing. So when it comes to online, it's about content. So you're taking a product and then you're redistributing it. Product that doesn't belong to you. It's my intellectual property. It's not your intellectual property because you purchased it. It still belongs to me. We can tell you never took IP in law school. All right. Who's your celebrity crush? Kaylani and Idris Elba. Trust me, I love making porn. I would love to do content with it, but I don't mind being watched while I'm having sex either. Okay. Cool. An OF creator by selling content to you and you purchasing, you're engaging in transaction contract relationship. The rules are stipulated in most accounts. I'm asking if you medical records with pharmacy advisors and other things. Do you have a right to be upset because it's personal to you and people profit from you? Leak sites profit from OF creators via ads. Yep. So people on Reddit can get in a lot of trouble. People who leak content can't. Now, the problem is they're not like, this is a lot of the problem. Even people like me who do have a lot of the funds, and I don't even have to spend a ton of money because I have friends that can do a lot of this work for me for less. But it's cost us, like, these leaks don't it costs us thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars sometimes go after these people. And so a lot of girls are just like, it's not worth it. But at some point, like, I made a decision today that in this case, it's worth it, because a lot of these people don't realize that there needs to be negative consequences for people like this sometimes. And a lot of these people, you think the internet is really anonymous, and it's not. Like, if you're doing something illegal on the internet, unless you're very tech savvy and you're really you're like a hacker and you're doing all this shit, which a lot of these people aren't. We've talked about this, right? They know who you are. They're not going to, it's not like I can just go ask Reddit, hey, can you give me this information? No. But if I go through the proper legal channels, then yes, Reddit has to give me your IP, the device you're using, etc. And that's how we can find out who you are. It's just not fun for me to do, or cost effective. And it's just something a lot of us are just like, whatever, it's part of what it is. But like, if you're going to taunt me about it and you're going to try to make it a point to be like, haha, I'm doing this, especially if now I have all this evidence. Like, my lawyer was literally like, yeah, send us every single screenshot. I'm like, you got it, making a bigger case against yourself, like, then it's easy. The people that are just doing it very discreetly, I don't have any of your usernames, I don't even know what the fuck's going on, you're going to be in a better position. But if you're like messaging me and you're like pissing, like, not the smartest move. Okay, let's see. I mean, a digital creator's work is replicated and shared in a much easier way than traditional select doctors. If another person needs some meds as you are able to share it with them. Go for it, I say. Again, for the record, I support all workers. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't like your devil's advocate arguments, but go ahead and keep. I don't think they're very strong to say that you don't own something because you don't own the copyright because you bought it. If I buy a movie tonight on, whatever, it's those DVR, whatever, I don't even use DVR anymore, I don't now own the movie. I can't go make copies of the movie and then sell it to people. If the company or whatever who made the movie wants to sell it for $17, I can't buy it and then now give it to everybody for $5. That is against the law, right? You didn't find this like intellectual loophole on like, ooh, now it's ethical. Like, no, this has been considered and it's been rejected by pretty much everybody except you. Well, I know at least some workers usually ask for money for personal needs and for an investment for like building a porn or company for a while. Okay. Chatterbait is better than LF. Oh my God, Chatterbait. Literally, Chatterbait is like a joke because it's like, first of all, Chatterbait ads like will infiltrate anything. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's like the dumbest like ad. Like, I don't understand who sees a Chatterbait ad and clicks on it. Like I just said, I don't kink shame, but if that type of shit, I'm concerned. Like there's just so much better ads. That's why having a VPN is the way to go these days. That doesn't necessarily protect you all the way either. It may get your IP, but there's a ton of data. And I'm not really that tech savvy. This has all been explained to me by people who do this. I have friends that are in this area and spoken to lawyers in this area. And like, again, there's that, we know, like when TikTok, people are like, well, no, all these other, Instagram has all your data too. It's not just your IP address that they have. Are you wearing the micro bikini? No, I'm wearing a Skims bralette and some panties that are going to be shown on OnlyFans. Needs meds. That could be life-saving, but no one needs porn. Okay, this is King of the Hunt's response to Homeboy. That they need the med. I just don't think this is a good analogy. Like I think this is like apples and oranges. But you can't, like, are you saying that it's a good thing to do to get prescribed meds and then sell them on the black market? Like, is that a decision you feel like you should make? I don't understand what you're saying. Like, are you saying that it's good because you may be able to, if you're saying that the pharmaceutical industry charges absurd prices, so you're doing some like my moderator said, some Robin Hood version of then giving the prescription meds to people who need it, making sure somehow that they're not addicts. And I don't get it. It's like the same thing as taking content creators' work and then redistributing it as your own. Make it make sense. Let's go back to the Netflix argument. They restricted it heavily because if you're not paying for the actual service, you don't get to partake in it. What restrictions did they add? I'm actually curious. I'm HBO over Netflix girl through and through, and that's not up for debate. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. Okay. It's like what I said prior to each professional sport broadcast. The viewer doesn't have the right to rebroadcast the games. Yeah, it doesn't matter that the viewer paid for the cable. The rights are still held by the copyright owner. Yeah, maybe we'll do a copyright 101, like copyright, trademark, patent law. We'll do like a quick little IP 1, 501, whatever class for Mr. Hula Hoop. True, I agree. There's a huge difference between such needs and luxuries like movies, music. I'm glad that you found the difference between both. Sorry to make a bad topic comparison. I figured using what's viewed as an elite career that is universal. Oh, okay. No, you don't have to apologize. I think that OnlyFans creators, we provide a service with our student, but also we're providing, it's like Netflix. Is Netflix providing you a service or a product? And looks like I'm gonna let the Wi-Fi fix. And it's obviously you can't You can't take Netflix's shit, make your own Netflix, stealing all their shit, and now provide Netflix to everybody for $5 a month. Why would anyone have a business if something like that was legal? Late to the party, but I'm here. Puerto Rican Pro, welcome. We are talking about the ethics of paying for content. So I don't know if you can see some of the older comments, but I would love your input on this. And I'm about to get into this article I read on a study on people who use OnlyFans tend to get smarter about sex. So this was done with a sample size of 425 OnlyFans users. And so they did the study. Most participants reported that their use of OnlyFans has resulted in them learning something new about sexual practices, personal sexual preferences, relationships, or sexual health. You do not know how many people, if you've been on my OnlyFans live streams, you even know how many people just ask questions. How many people are in my DMs like, hey, do you like this? Do women like this? What do you think of this? Have you ever tried this kink? You know? So this study did not surprise me at all. The majority of participants reported learning outcomes in each of these domains with scores above 4.63 out of 7. 41% of participants reported trying new activities such as toy use, producing content, and sexual orientation exploration, while only 6.8% reported not trying anything new after trying OnlyFans. In addition, the more users learned on OnlyFans, the more positively they perceived the influence of their OnlyFans use on their sexual lives. Younger participants tended to learn more on the platform compared to their older counterparts. The researchers also analyzed responses to an open-ended question: what new things have you learned from using OnlyFans in terms of sexual practices, relationships, communication, yourself, your personal experiences, or sexual health? The participants reported improvements in sexual functioning, expansions of their sexual experiences and attractions, improvements in their relationships, such as improved communication techniques, increases in sexual confidence, the acquisition of particular sexual skills, having a sense of community, and changes in values. And like in parentheses, it says, for instance, like learn that it's not good to be so judgmental in life and sex. People engaging with the OnlyFans platform are gaining new knowledge about themselves and sexuality in general. Conceptual domain-specific knowledge, that the researcher said. They're also learning new skills, procedural knowledge that they are applying to their sexual lives and relationships. So it's saying that more research could be done. The researchers wrote, such as how the experience of OnlyFans may differ for sex workers and users, how sex workers choose OnlyFans as their platform with certain demographics, may be related to learning on OnlyFans, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought that was not surprising, but I'm glad that they actually put it in a study, because I read that and I was not surprised because of the interactions that I have on OnlyFans. I do notice that. So again, people are going to, it's the people that watch the free, I guess, rape sometimes on Pornhub maybe, that are like, oh my God, no, I can never. But it's like, no, the people that are on OnlyFans, they're not sitting there feeling all the things that you are telling them they're going to feel. Their lives have improved. Okay. Did I sound like I was questioning you earlier? Master of the Jedi Order, I don't remember, nor is this a personal thing between you and I. I'd love a copyright and intellectual property episode. You know what? I still have my notes probably in this laptop about that. I did an episode on obscenity doctrine for First Amendment, and I have to find a better way because I was just scrolling through my notes and clicking. So I think I actually will maybe transfer it onto my phone, clean it up a little bit, and give you guys a quick IP rundown. I would love Hula Hoop to be here for that. Hell no, I can't do that with Netflix. Not for legal reasons, more so because there's nothing good enough on Netflix that anyone should be or would be willing to pay for a bootleg. I agree. Netflix is not where it's at for me. Tyler Shim should be me trying to convince. No, I mean, these are all people who kind of do it anyway. We're kind of just having a discussion. And again, I'm not limiting it that to this. I love discussion. I love to battle it on the marketplace of ideas. So if you have actually an argument to make, other than an ad hominem attack or trying to straw man me and my intention, I'd love to hear it. But I don't think you're well equipped for that. I'm not sure why anybody would say that buying content people consider unethical or immoral, but those are the same people that will watch porn, drink excessively, do drugs, yeah. If you should have been here earlier in the stream, I was talking about the kind of behavior I see out of those people. And again, like when I really think about it, this is going to be a discussion for a different day on free will and just it's like deep philosophy. So I do want to do a discussion on it, but I don't know if these people always have the capability to understand some of the things that you and I are understanding. You can just tell they're cognitively deficient in a way that you guys and me, like King of the Hunt, Puerto Rican Pod, definitely Hazard, we can't even put ourselves in their shoes because we have not been given the short end of the stick in that way. Now, does that excuse their behavior? No. Does that mean that, they can't learn? We can't teach them things, at least some of them? No. But I always try my best to not judge people too hard because I can just tell from how they write their messages, how they think. Oh my God, that scratch made me super red. That they don't get it. When somebody messages me like somebody did today and was like, well, on Reddit, it said that you serve coffee and you never posted your degree, and, Yahoo Finance didn't post your degree. So how, so now those are equal sources, Reddit incels, and like, there's not much you can do with somebody like that. I respect you for living your life and doing what you want, and you shouldn't care what people think. Only thing I don't respect is where porn stars rip off their fans, steal their money, but you don't seem like that type of person that would just No, I think it's creators' responsibility to be authentic and to be ethical in how they run their business, and it's also consumers' responsibility to also respect boundaries and be ethical in their interactions with creators. So yeah, it's a two-way street. Is that knowledge useful? Did the survey participants benefit from what they learned? I mean, I think they talked about how it improved their communication, even with their partners, sexual experiences, etc. Does your back hurt? Okay. I think Pigeon Emperor has made a new account and came back to antagonize. I will say there are more people like Pigeon Emperor than we would like, but I will say it's not the majority. A lot of us tend to focus like, oh my God, you can look at it either way. And I have days where I'll see that it just depends on my mindset. I'll have days where I see the same amount of idiots and the same amount of smart people online. And I will be like, oh my God, there's so many idiots. It's like the glass half full, half empty type of thing. Depends what you choose to focus on. But I was saying this to Hazard Sin today. Thank God there could be more of that. Like, thank God that there are people more, like, at least I would say the same amount of people like us. So let's relish in that. It's a pity of me snubbing because I have a different opinion. I know that Twitch is a good medium for content creators to communicate with, but it's also a place where you can compare different opinions. Yeah, you're free to share your opinion. We haven't even banned anyone, not even people who are not even on topic. You're able to be here and share your opinion. I think the lesson we learned today is that we should support our favorite creators if we're able to. I think today is just kind of like maybe being more mindful in what you pay for and why, and supporting the content that you want to see, and maybe not like being able to look at things instead of just being fed this, oh yeah, it makes sense for me to try to find this movie and search for 3 hours on 80 virus infected websites. It's like, no, maybe I should pay for it. Or especially when it comes to content creators and the content that you're consuming. Buying content can be good, but we need to be careful on which OF creator, because I found out a week ago someone hacked OF and stolen a woman's content. Yeah, that isn't something like that is obviously a reality that's going to happen kind of in any industry, and that's not something that you would know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, OnlyFans in general, that happens far less. Like, that happened to me, and OnlyFans within like 24 hours or 48 completely shut down the account. You have to be, so how that even happens is to get on OnlyFans, you would literally verify like yourself and your face. Like, it's like a scan. ID, it's like a face ID, put your face in, put your face out, put your face in, put your face out, and then they approve it. So sometimes people will approve their real selves because they're actual idiots, because you know how easy then it, like, not only did you put your ID, but you put your face in. So we know the face in you, and then you put somebody else's face on your OnlyFans. Like, yeah, that's not always the smartest move, because if that person wants to go after you, they will have a very easy time figuring out exactly who you are. I do think it's funny that in a world where getting a scoop is number one in media, that none of the journalists that have done stories on you wouldn't have exposed that you didn't have a degree if that was true. But Reddit is going to Reddit. Yeah. Again, and again, I think it's, me and my friends were laughing about this the other day. It's also maybe something like with men, that like men maybe don't understand the reality of women needing to keep their information private. Like doxing is a crime, you know. Why? He's like, well, you never said what law school you went to. You didn't, basically, you didn't put your full legal name on here and give us your, he asked me for, he's like, I'll pay for your transcripts. I'm like, okay, first of all, you need a lobotomy if you would pay for somebody's transcripts. And yeah, yeah, Jasmine Jafar is not my real name, for those of you that don't know. It's a stage name. People like to protect their privacy online because of psychos like, you know, that person. I actually sent, but I was like, all right, you know what, let me, so I sent him a quick screenshot of the reporter being like, hey, you just need to send us proof of this, but I didn't obviously send him the actual proof. And I'm like, there you go. Maybe that's more better than Reddit. I know maybe sometimes I shouldn't engage, but sometimes it's just like, because he was so smart. He's like, oh. I'm like, okay. It's almost to the point where people like that, I'm always about hearing an opinion, even if I don't agree. But some of these that want to say these things are wrong or not okay, I just want to understand the underlying issue because it's baffling. Yeah, sometimes I want to do a brain scan on some of the people I encounter online because I don't have access to a scan of their brain. That is not my right, although if I'm hula hoop, I can maybe make a case for it. My best bet is to maybe ask some more questions, see what I can for the analysis that I want to do. Psychoanalysis. True creators deserve love and respect just like any other human being. Let's all be more mindful and loving. Yay, love that comment. What's your stance on piracy in general, especially with creators who actually try to scam people? Piracy is wrong. Like, obviously, stealing is wrong. It's a crime. And again, are you Robin Hood? Like, I love my moderators saying, like, who are you to be like, oh, well, because I don't like you because I think you whatever. I'm gonna illegally distribute your content. Like, it's really not. If you don't like somebody's content and you feel like they're not giving you a good product, don't consume the product. It's that simple. What do you mean? No, I don't like it, so I'm gonna steal it. All right. What are your thoughts on Reza Pahlavi visiting Israel? This is going to be a discussion for another day. That would be a whole stream on its own. Sometimes the more questions I ask, the dumber I feel for even trying to understand where they're coming from. This is my struggle all day, every day, because as you guys know, I do like to engage with the comments. I like to engage with what's going on. And sometimes I vent to Hazardson a lot. I'm like, I need to find that line, because sometimes like when to stop, because that lawyer fire energy in me is like, no, if I keep going, they'll get it. If I keep going, my point will register. And there are times where it just doesn't register. And he actually does a really great job. If you guys don't follow him on TikTok, Gas Station Therapy, you should, of knowing which comments. And it's a learning curve. And I don't always have that. And my time is limited. And then I realized I just spent so much time trying to see that has clearly like just a low IQ. And here I am sitting there like either trying to clap back, which isn't fair because again, they're not as whatever as I am, or trying to get them to understand, which again may not be fair, or trying to put my argument forth if it's public and other people can see it so that maybe other people can catch some of the errors of thinking in whatever they're saying. But finding that balance is definitely hard. Sadly, many men, even women, still find it inconceivable that a woman is capable of being well-educated and attractive / have careers that don't utilize the upper echelon. Yeah, this is very hard to understand. But I will say it's mostly hard for people to understand that don't have any experience in it. And this isn't a blanket statement. There are plenty of people who don't have experience in anything like this that are still like, yeah, because but there is some people who really think like you couldn't possibly be doing this because, and a lot of them have those, the narratives that they've been told about sex work and morality and etc. And they haven't questioned that. And they just take it as a fact. Sex work is immoral. It demonstrates a lack of this, lack of that. So why would anybody do this if they had the opportunity to do something smart and prestigious and blah, 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 blah. Whereas people who are obviously maybe a little better equipped intellectually don't see things as that black and white, without any nuance. My AC is very loud. I don't support anything that can become a negative addiction. Porn desensitizes you. What is your resource for that? You can check out YouTube video. I've done a past stream. Porn is actually not an addiction, at least in the medical community. There is something called problematic porn use, but a big part of problematic porn use, which is obviously something that people report themselves, has to do with your view of porn. So people who I don't remember if it was Hula Hoop earlier that was saying, well, I'm embarrassed of it. If you're embarrassed of something or you have negative feelings associated with doing something and you keep doing it because you're normal and you get horny, you're going to think you have a problem. Whereas because the study showed that people who actually watch the same amount of porn, if not more, but didn't have those negative attitudes towards it, were like, yeah, I'm fine. Elizabeth, hello. Is that a girl? I love having girls on here. I can respect both creators for enjoying themselves like Jasmine, but I will not respect both creators. Okay, thank you, Master of the Jedi Order. You're so sexy and cute. Okay, I don't think that's a girl, but maybe. Usually they just don't talk like that. Practically anything can become an addiction. I don't think porn desensitizes as much as it changes your expectation of sex sometimes, but it doesn't make you less sexual. Yeah, and if are you gonna really talk about addiction, like in the scientific sense, then it's not an addiction. But you can, like I've said this before, you can have an addiction to potato chips. Like if you're using addiction in that sense, then sure, you probably have an addiction to your phone. But I do think it's important to differentiate what are real addictions versus, things like I'm addicted to social media, whatever. Do you ever see yourself doing anything else if you retire from porn one day? Social and political commentary. I'm not going to retire from porn until you guys are like, you're just not hot now. But I do want to expand and branch out and do social political commentary, kind of like the stuff I'm doing here. There's not a lot of women, especially in sex work, that do this. So I want to be a voice in that arena. So we can share opinions, but when they're different from yours, you don't comment on them. Did I not just spend all day, this whole stream, commenting on your opinions? If you have an opinion, please share it, and we will all look out for Jigsaw 81's opinion. I'm sure it's riveting, blow our minds. Let's hear it. We're gonna make sure we catch it. It always seems that the people that are, for lack of a better term, less educated. Yeah, I don't want to sound like an asshole when I say that, but I don't know how else to say it. Are the people that are so narrow-minded but feel like they are so right. The more educated that you know better, and the more educated that know better are open to all aspects of that conversation. Y'all know my boy Socrates. the only wisdom in knowing or something is that you know nothing. So that is why you do see like people who have no idea what's going on will just throw out a statistic out of their ass, and like people who don't know how to you know, check sources or, you know, whatever are like, yeah, right. Whereas you see a lot of really like, this is something I noticed in science. Like scientists are very much like only willing to speak on what they know in science, and other things they're like, oh, I don't know anything about this. And they probably know 99% more than you and I know, but they won't speak on it. I'm always terrified of, that's why I'm always like, I think the statistically, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not just going to come out and say something crazy. And like, that's why I always bring up Hazard Stint, because we were laughing about like even people like Jordan Peterson that has clearly gone off the deep end, who just like retweet something. He retweeted it was like a porn scene, but the porn scene looked like it was like something like a lab in China that was like making scene. I don't remember, but and someone like said it was that, and he just retweeted it, and he's like, oh my God, this is happening in China or something. And then like he deleted it in 2 seconds. It's like, I get you're a boomer or older. I don't know how old he is, but like, like, do you know how much like I would make sure, like, do you know how long I would spend checking my sources if I was to post something that absurd? And especially if I had his following, like, it's like, does you not have an assistant to maybe even check? Like, crazy. Yeah, I do. I don't see every comment because I scroll and sometimes I miss them. Sometimes people just say like hi, or sometimes they're responding to somebody else and it's not relevant. Especially if I'm behind. Should addictive substances like crack be decriminalized? Yes, because people who are addicted to something should not be criminalized for their addiction. Now, selling, different issue. So you're never retiring then. What about a 13-year-old kid that stumbles on porn? That's not healthy for the kid. I agree, that's not healthy for the kid, but what's the solution? Ban porn? Why not ban a rated R movie? Why not ban alcohol? There's a bunch of people underage that stumble upon alcohol. You can't make a case against the whole industry by pointing to children. We're talking about adults here. If you want to have a conversation about children, then we can have a conversation about the whole world should just be childproof. Is the world for children or for adults? Can we not have different conversations about this? Now, if you're talking about another reason you guys should pay for your porn and get on sites like OnlyFans, because you do have to put in your information and have a card on file in order to access it. So 13-year-olds are not stumbling on OnlyFans's girls porn site or OnlyFans sites unless they're finding leaked content somewhere else. There you go. Thank you. Also, my moderator says guns kill kids. Can we ban guns? Excellent point. Excellent point. Can we ban guns? More children have died from guns than my titties. I will put that out there. I'm fairly confident. I see you doing porn for a long time. Thank you. Oh, your name's Hoopla. I assumed it was hula hoop. Sorry. I see a lot of comments, and then you guys have to understand there's this bright light behind me, the ring light. So I go semi-blind every time I do this. But you know what? I do it for y'all. You guys can see probably my eyes are red. Treating addiction as a medical issue does improve recovery rates. Punishing users doesn't stop drugs use. That's why the war on drugs. Yeah, the war on drugs has clearly failed miserably. So maybe we should go a different route. Also, there's just you should be able to do what you want to your arm body unless it harms somebody else. You should be able to sell your body for sex. You should be able to do crack in your home. Now, do we want you to be doing like it's probably not the best for you, but should you go to prison? No, that's what I don't think. I think in this day and age of technology, anything can be found, including porn. Murder can be found online. How to make bombs. It's a matter of how your parents monitor and have real life adult conversations with you. about what you see and how you respond to it. I don't have kids. When I have kids, you think I'm giving my 13-year-old free access to the internet? Like, yes, they're going to get around it, and I'm going to have those conversations with them because they're going to inevitably come across it. But my main concern isn't them stumbling upon porn. My main concern is them falling into these traps and these narratives of social media, especially like, if I have a daughter and she thinks, oh my God, I have to look like this, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I think those things can actually be far more damaging for kids, and even just like the information, like, on TikTok and just that kind of thing, more so than a 13-year-old jerking off to porn. I'm going to make an assumption here that most of you have found porn on the internet, probably from the age that it was available to you. And I can tell you, at least, you guys seem better off than the people I was talking about earlier. So, and I don't think it's because they stumbled upon porn earlier than you guys. I don't think when you stumble upon porn has a significant impact on you being a douchebag when you're older. Moderator says, I'd argue the war on drugs was a massive success. It was never about mitigating drugs use, about criminalizing certain drugs used by certain populations, and it did a damn good job at that. I would say that's very valid commentary. So it depends what the intention was. But if our intentions, I'm assuming in this group, is to improve society and better society, not done that. Even if your intention was to get drugs off the street, it has not done. Like, the only thing, like, pretty much it's done is what my moderator says, is really, really, really catapult mass incarceration and systemic inequality in our country. Are you worried about younger relatives seeing pics of you? No, you're the only weirdo that's just worried about who sees my pics and who doesn't. My younger relatives, I'm going to be honest, are very well off, like well-rounded people. They're not, like, no offense, somebody like you that seems to be very unhealthy and erratic. Yo, Jordan Peterson is gullible as fuck, bro. Retweeted an April Fool's joke and used it to criticize you. Yeah, he really suffers from that boomer. Like, he'll see like AI of like somebody saying something, and like we can all kind of tell, like, it's like, oh no, this isn't real. But like, he's like of the age, like our parents, who are like, this is real. I'm like, Mom, what are you sharing? It's not real. He's literally like the uncle on Facebook that like just put shit out there, and it's like, and that's fine, I don't blame our uncles on Facebook, but it's like, why does he have this following that he has? Like, he's just a boomer that uses a lot of big words that are at the end of the day incoherent. Saw a study a while back that showed something about communications and described that close to 80% of someone talking is only body language, and how confident they sound, only pushing the narrative of the uneducated. Yeah. It's funny because I was hanging out with my friends from law school. Like, I've been kind of hanging out with them like every weekend. That's why I have so many recent stories, and they're not online, so they don't know, like, they didn't know who Andrew Tate was or anything. And I was like, guys, I am shook, because before I was online, I thought good ideas will prevail over bad ideas, and I thought the marketplace, and they were like, oh, what are you talking about? No. They're like, obviously that won't happen. And that has been one of the biggest realities for me of being on the internet, is because I assumed that more of us had a baseline of like, because even in like academic settings, if you're debating with somebody, you have a difference of opinion, there is like a basic respect for facts. We may disagree on how the facts may apply in the situation. We may disagree on which facts are more important than other facts, what facts should be looked at more. Legal jurisprudence, how the Constitution should be interpreted. These are different than like, oh, I'm just going to make something, like, I'm just going to make up that like 80% of porn stars die at the age of 22. And I'm just going to say that and say it confidently. Like, it is absurd. Jordan Peterson didn't care if it was factual or not. It was an opportunity to push a narrative in general. No, I think he like wouldn't have shared that if he knew how stupid he looked, which is why he had to delete it really quickly after and was like, oh shit. I actually think he's intentionally just at the time in order to push a narrative 100%. But I think in that specific, I think they're all instances where he's also just dumb. It's not part of some grander scheme. Lagging. Okay. I feel like the guns to titties ratio number is probably a safe bet, Jess. Wait, what happened to that guy who like was really concerned with me not reading his comment? I want to make sure. Have you seen the controversy surrounding the Fansly ad during QT Cinderella Streamer Awards? No. The only thing I know about QT Cinderella is that she was a victim of AI porn. And I was proud of her because she's like, I'm gonna sue your ass, and I bet you she did. But I'm interested. I wanna look into it. Why is it wrong to sell crack, but not porn? Not advocating for crack or criticizing porn. Just curious about your principle on the issue. So you're saying, why is it? I don't think you should be able to sell large quantities of crack, but you should be able to, because they're not, what do you mean they're not the same thing? Why? Tell me why you shouldn't. Like, tell me explain your position so I can understand kind of what you're saying. Because I'm not getting how they're related. How does it feel to be at least mindful of watching porn and liking a porn star at the same time? How does it feel to at least be mindful of watching porn and like? Are you asking me? How does it feel to at least be mindful of watching porn? I've never had this experience, so I don't know. The difference between a gun and a titty is I'm not afraid to blow my mind with my mouth. Are you worried about exposing yourself to your younger relatives? Just curious. It's not harmful to ask you, right? How dare you sue that? I mean, it's the fact that the war on drugs was to arrest Black people and anti-war supporters, but yeah. And it's funny because pretty much everyone in academia talks about this, and then the right wing is like, oh, education, a conspiracy. It's like, no. Maybe because this is true, and people who do go to school and read and study this have been like, yeah, this happened. It's not a conspiracy. We're not just saying it. It happened. Most OF girl / LGBTQ. I like how it's most OF girl / LGBTQ are against Andrew Tate, and all young upcoming business owners mostly agree with Andrew Tate. I wonder who's right. Who are the upcoming business owners that agree with Andrew Tate? I have to know. Because the majority of Andrew Tate fans are actually highly uneducated, and a lot of them are sitting there paying $50 a month for Hustlers University. So who are the upcoming business owners that agree with Andrew Tate? Again, nobody I know that is not like, which most of them aren't lying, judges, my law school friends, etc. They don't even know who he is. Like, they think I'm crazy for even bringing him up. They're like, who are you talking about? Like, when we're online, we're kind of in this bubble, and a lot of like normies, they don't even know who he is. Yeah, what's the upcoming business that you own? Auto body collision shop. I'm 19 and I own a house to rent, and I'm taking over my dad's body shop. Good for you. I think Andrew Tate is definitely going to get you laid. My moderator says, I made $7 last month drop shipping, so I'm a top G. It's funny because actually a lot of business owners have joined Hustlers University and done like videos explaining to people like, this information isn't even like, you could get this off Google and this is just an absolute scam. Andrew Tate wouldn't be successful if his fans actually got successful. He's successful by keeping his fans, without pussy and without any money. I feel like if he didn't talk down to her about women, maybe they wouldn't be against him. He doesn't have to talk women up, but he doesn't have to. No, he's just stupid, guys. Like, there's just no way around it. He's just stupid. He admits he says he doesn't read books. Everything he says. Do you guys remember that stream I did on logical fallacies? And I did 10 logical fallacies, and I hoped on finding 10 different Andrew Tate clips in order to showcase each of the 10 logical fallacies, but I had to do it in 2 clips because he had so many in like a 40-second stream, like a clip, that I was done with my research far too quickly. He's not very bright. And that's just bottom line. And if you guys saw the Vice documentary they did on him about like, there's like the Andrew Tate, like you could like pay $5,000 and he'll test your masculinity for you. It's very, it's honestly funny. Like it's so crazy that it surpasses it being sad. Like it's funny that people were paying $5,000 to go visit Andrew Tate, or they called him the commander, in order to test their masculinity. And OnlyFans girls are scamming you, but somebody charging you $5,000 to test your masculinity, which basically consisted of you being put up against a professional fighter and getting your, I think I watched Hassan's reaction to it, and I was dying. He was like, how can people be professional fighters, go up against guys with like a CPA body just to like scare them, and it's called like being a man? Like it's the opposite. Everything he tells you about being a man, it seems like you should do the opposite and you'll probably be better off. To be honest, I had no idea who Andrew Tate was until he got arrested. Even now, I don't know anything more than he's labeled as a chauvinist. Yeah. Also, being arrested for human trafficking. Good luck. Everyone knows his Hustlers University was a scam. His views are what makes him famous. So you like somebody who scams people? Like what kind of like moral character are you looking up to? If you even concede that he's stealing money from people and he's scamming people out of money. And Hassan said this in the video too. Andrew Tate fans are like the kids who saw bullies growing up in school, and instead of being like, or were bullied, and instead of being like Hassan was saying, I want to grow up and I want to become somebody who's going to make sure this doesn't happen to other people and be a real man. These were the Andrew Tate fans, like this kid, are the people who saw the bullies bullying them or other people and were like, I want to grow up to be the bully. Like that is, and I thought that was so spot on. It's not how real men are. It's not how alpha men are. Alpha men, and he went on to say, like, and I totally agree with him, are people who stand up for people who can't defend themselves. They don't use their strength as a tool to charge people $5,000, and then with zero training those people have, just punch them in the face and humiliate them and be like, well, that's how you become a man. No, it's really not. And there was one point, oh my God, I was dying. There was one part of it where you go in and this random guy's like, I am Alpha Wolf and my job is to be your Alpha Wolf. And like Hassan literally stopped it and he's like, if ever a grown-ass man says I am Alpha Wolf, my job is to be Alpha Wolf in any situation, I'm out. And I was like, yeah, what is this? Just because you don't agree doesn't mean he's stupid. No, he's not stupid because I don't agree. He's stupid because his points have no merit. And if you would like to, like, I can tell you, for instance, he actually did a great, there was a great interaction between him and Hassan where Hassan was trying to explain to him why anecdotal evidence should not be used to make for, your opinions on the world, because empirical data is a far more accurate measure of reality. And Andrew Tate didn't know how to deal with that and like took off his headphones and was like, no, I'm going to go based off my anecdotal experience. And Hassan's like, okay, well, is the earth flat? Because when you step outside, it looks flat. Like, is it flat? And he got really pissed and he just basically, I think that's a good stream to watch to realize the intellect of Mr. Tate. Okay, so wait, he's more unethical for scamming people who support him than off creators who provide valid services. Valid services is someone's daughter getting railed on the internet forever. What do you mean? Okay, so do you not see people as individuals? Like, am I not an individual? I can't make my own decision. I can't choose freely and be happy and honestly be fucking becoming a very wealthy woman from showing my tits on the internet. I can only be seen in relation to me being somebody's daughter. Like, my parents are like, whatever at this point. But you, paternalistic, sloppy, big balls, the name is, and you can come in and you can decide for everybody what people should and shouldn't do with their own bodies and whether or not you like is. Again, I don't know why you're here, but you know, we like dissent in here. Crack and porn are both addictive, both inexpensive, and both easily. That's where we disagree. I don't think porn is addictive in the way that crack is addictive. You could point to a bunch of also people who are addicted to drugs do tend to that. I don't think just being addicted to a drug should be a reason to lock them up, but when they do drugs, they are more likely, far more likely to commit certain crimes because they're under the influence of a drug. Porn has no such effect. In fact, our studies indicate that it almost has a cathartic effect and violence actually goes down. So if you were to look at the impact on society, that's one argument you could make when it comes to the effects on society by having people be able to sell large quantities of this drug and have zero regulation on that end. Again, people who use, and it should not be criminalized, but people who come in and sell large quantities, and it should have we should all just be a free-for-all. I think the impact to society in that would be far worse than people consuming my OnlyFans content and some of them struggling with problematic porn use, not an addiction, that has largely been found to be a reflection of their own personal views on the matter. And a lot of times it coincides with other mental health issues like depression, anxiety, etc. So does being addicted to drugs, not necessarily selling though. If the daughter, now I'm not saying that I want to lock up your local weed dealer. That's not what I'm saying. Again, I think all drugs should be decriminalized. And I think sex work should be decriminalized. I am very far on the left when it comes to this. I am almost an abolish. I'm like fairly close to being like an abolished police person. Like I am fairly progressive on most of my policies, but I don't think these two are. What I'm saying is that it should not be like the cartel is going to move in here and just start freely giving, like, you know what I'm saying? If the daughter is fine with it, what's wrong? The parent isn't getting railed. You're not attached to your parents all your life. You do whatever you want. Yeah. I mean, like, are you just an extension of your parent? Like, are you not you? Not only is he an extension of his parent, but he spends the remainder of whatever's left of him individually to worry about other people and see them as an extension of their parent. Like, what are you, in some village in Pakistan? Like, again, these are values from a lot of collectivist cultures that, and I'm going to say this, I come from a culture like this. Western values in this respect are superior by every measure. They're better for us psychologically. They're better as a society. When the dishonor of your cousin now means you can't get married and this like, is that really what we're looking at in 2023? The Hassan versus Tate stream was hilarious. Yeah. To be a man, you would show your compassion, humanity, and love, and must not show fear to those that would think you are not a man. I don't think showing fear makes you not a man, but I do think compassion, humanity, and love are great characteristics. And you know, Andrew Tate has an abundance of them, of those. All right, I gotta go soon. Medical news today, porn addiction. Porn has a very unhealthy and non-realistic picture of sex. That is one of the negative impacts of porn, but that does not make it an addiction. Look it up. It's not on the DSM-5 for a reason. It's not considered an actual addiction. And I actually think that there are ways that porn can give you a healthy perception of sex. If you were here earlier, you would have listened that there was a study that shows that OnlyFans subscribers are more educated on sex. So I think that just because it has a unhealthy and non-realistic, I think the unrealistic perception of sex, like it makes you think that, you know, everybody has a 300-inch penis and is jamming it into these like totally airbrushed. Yeah, that's not how it goes, but that's are now addicted in the same way that people would be addicted to fentanyl. I will say this, people who don't use drugs won't suddenly start because they're hungry. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy this side of my online personality as much as you enjoy the other side, but lucky for you, we're going to do both tonight. So I do got to hop on to my fun stream. What issues do you have a conservative view on? That is a good question. I want to hear your guesses, but we don't have time because I don't think I have a super conservative view on anything, but I can definitely at least rate some of my views as more conservative than others, but we'll get to that. All right, guys, I do have to hop off, but I do want to just run through, make sure there are no more guns. My view is not, I wouldn't say it's conservative on guns. I believe in the Second Amendment. Like, I'm not saying we should come in and take all your guns, but I don't believe, I mean, again, I have a very nuanced position on guns. Nobody needs access to, I went to a gun range, quick story. I went to a gun range for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I was appalled at some of the weapons there. And I was like, you can just pick this up at this, I could just go buy this. Crazy. No, that's not how I would interpret the Second Amendment. Okay. Anyways, bye. Y'all know where to go. JasmineJafar.me. I am going to get set up. We're going to finally see what I was wearing under all this, but if you know, you know. See you there.